In this exercise video, we're going to be going through how to do a jump landing, and this is going to be working on shock absorption through our ankles, knees, and hips to try to minimize the force through our body and to make it as gentle and easy on your body as well. This is great for returning back to a sport or activity after you've had surgery, after you've had babies, or anything like that that might impact how your body lands from jumping. So what we're going to start off by doing is just getting into double leg support stance here. And we want to think about feet being about hip width apart, or what your normal stance is for, especially for a specific activity like basketball or volleyball or any specific sport that you might be preparing to get back to. So let's start with equal stance, toes in line. And we're first just going to get our tall posture and a very light core engagement. Now we're going to squat down into a little mini squat. And we're going to use our arms and propel up into a jump. And when we jump up, we're going to try to come back and land softly and quietly onto the ground. And when we land, we're going to try to go from land on our toes and then roll back onto our heels flat. So we're going to start landing on our toes and then coming into flat on the heels. But we want to make sure the knees and hips bend to take up that force. And again, we're trying to make that landing as quiet as possible. So we want to listen to the sound of your feet on the ground, and that will give you cues on how you're doing. Okay, equal stance, tall posture, core engaged. Use our arms, do a mini jump. And we're going to land, starting with the ball of our foot, landing onto a flat foot, and thinking about taking up that shock through bending of the knees. So again, we're going to equal stance. Use our arms, mini squat, come up and land. I'll show you from the side. Jump up and land. So we want to think about landing quietly, and we should land in this mini squat position. Now, if you find yourself having a hard time and you maybe are landing more hard and stiff through your legs, we want to really think about letting the knees bend. So if you're having a hard time with it, you can always start with a in-between version where you're, instead of going all the way up into a jump, we're now just going to go up onto the toes and then land softly on our heels. So we're not leaving the ground at any point. We're just going up on the toes like you're doing a heel raise, and then we're quickly dropping down into that squat. Up on the toes, come down into the squat. Showing you from the side here, we can go up on the toes and land into the squat. So that could be an easy one to start with if you're having a hard time getting into the full jump. And then eventually we'll start doing alternating sides. So we'd be jumping on from one foot to the other foot and doing a really soft single leg landing where we're trying to, again, take that force and shock absorb and land with toes to heel as we're landing, and trying to make it as quiet as possible. Now, especially when we're going back and forth between the legs, we really want to focus on the pelvis staying level. So we don't want to see when I jump to one foot that the hip drops or that you hike up, or obviously leaning of your torso is a big cue as well. So if you're hopping and you're finding your torso really falling one direction, that's a cue you're not engaging your core correctly and we're not landing in the correct mechanics. Once you've mastered going side to side, then we're going to do single leg. And we're just going to quietly go into a mini squat on one leg, still keeping the pelvis level, trying to keep that knee centered, single leg, and jump. And we're trying to land as quietly as possible. And you can see I'm trying to really keep this knee centered when I'm landing to prevent it from diving in or diving out. Now, if you're postpartum and you're working on this, we want to make sure we're trying to pre-engage the pelvic floor like you've been instructed to by your physical therapist, and especially trying to engage this lower belly region. If you have any leakage during this process, go back to the easiest version and make your way through the progressions again. If you're still having issues, reach out to your physical therapist.